Peekskill, and welcome to the Mayor's Office. Today I have the pleasure to be with our Fire Chief, Chief Jim Seymour, and our Lieutenant Ryan Sheridan, and we want to talk a little bit today about exactly what happens in our fire department. When I came on the council, I didn't know that we had a fire department that is both volunteer and career, so we'll chat a little bit about that today and about how the fire department runs, some of the goals that they have, and where they're going in the future. So Chief, I'm going to give it to you, and you give me a little background about our fire department.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us. So a little bit about our department. We are comprised of 27 career firefighters, including myself, and then roughly about 50 active volunteer firefighters. Each day, around the clock, you have a minimum of 6 firefighters, 1 career lieutenant, 5 firefighters on duty at all times, which is great for our residents. So they know when they pick up the phone and they dial 911 and it's a fire-related emergency, that there are already people in the station and the trucks get dispatched and respond immediately. So a little bit about our makeup between both the career and the volunteer side, but really all one department, and we work very well collaboratively between both sides.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about volunteers and how you become a volunteer.
Sure. So not easy anymore, I will tell you that. Certainly when I started, it was a 39-hour class. The class now to become an active volunteer, and when I say active, able to come out to the emergency scenes, is now over 100 hours.
Wow.
Even before that, we have a little process where we interview you. We give you a little bit of a background to make sure you understand what the department is about and what commitment and sacrifices you would be making. Because before we start the process, we don't want to waste anybody's time. We want to give you a good idea of what you're getting yourself into, and we want to make sure it's a good fit for both the department and for you as an individual volunteer. And then certainly we go through the process. After the process is over, I mentioned about the initial training, which is about 100 hours. Normally that takes place at the Westchester County Fire Training Center in Valhalla, New York. So it's a big commitment now. It's certainly not as easy as it maybe once was.
Okay. I think people think that they say, oh, I want to be a volunteer firefighter. They show up at the fire department and they think they're going to go and fight fires, and that's not what happens.
Correct.
Okay.
And then maybe a little bit more specific so people know. So also people have the impression, well, if I become a fireman, it means, or firefighter, I should say, it means that I have to crawl down a smoke-filled hallway. Not necessarily. We have some different categories where you can certainly be an interior firefighter, which means you go into that area that we call an IDLH, immediately dangerous to life and health. We have exterior firefighters that work along the perimeter, and then we have our fire police that really focus on traffic and crowd control.
Okay, so there's a lot of opportunities for different aspects.
There is, yes.
Okay, all right. Tell me how you become a career firefighter.
You want to handle that one? I don't
Sure.
want to do all the talking.
Yeah, sure. So that all runs through civil service, basically. So it begins with the announcement of a civil service exam. You sign up, you go, you take the civil service exam. They're usually down in White Plains at the high school. They're put on by Westchester County. So you would go down, take the exam. Within the next couple months, they'll post a list. It's ranked based on test grade. After that, depending on your ranking on the list, you would be called in potentially for an interview, and you would have to go take what we call a CPAT. It's a physical examination that you would go down county. Basically runs you through, what is it now, maybe 6 or 7 different stations?
8 different stations,
8 different?
yes.
Okay. Runs you through 8 different stations, basically just to test your physical capabilities and ensure that you are up to performing the job, as it is, very physically demanding. After that, whether you pass, fail that, again, you would go through an interview process with your municipality, and then you would go to the Westchester County Fire Training Center, if hired, for the Career Chiefs Fire Academy, Westchester Career Chiefs Fire Academy, which is, the latest one was what,
18 weeks?
18
Yeah,
20,
roughly, yeah.
Right?
Are there pre-requirements that you have to meet?
No, so you need, what is the age now? Is it?
You need to be 17 and a half
Right,
at the time of the exam,
Yep.
to take the exam.
Yep.
That's a good question. So many, I think, of our younger residents, and I'll say younger, our high school students, don't know a lot about civil service and don't know about that process, how to become. One thing that one initiative we're working on with the school district. Well, let me back up for a minute. Each of our career lieutenants has administrative responsibilities. Lieutenant Kevin McGovern's responsibilities consist of fire prevention and public relations. As part of that, he has been working with Dr. Ferris and her staff at the high school. And one of the items specific he's working on is a, what do I want to say? I guess a program or just an understanding or awareness on how to take, where to find the civil service exams, and then how to prepare and take them.
Yeah, we actually were able to get, I believe it was 3 students signed up directly for the next civil service in February. There's a civil service
That's
exam
amazing.
for firefighter.
Yeah.
We were able to get 3 high school students signed up directly through that initiative. So,
That's excellent.
yeah,
Excellent.
and hopefully
And-
seeing some benefits already.
And the far majority of our career firefighters have come from our volunteer ranks.
I was going to ask that
Yeah.
next.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me a little bit about the goals. So everybody knows that this is the first time that we've had a career fire chief, and we've seen a lot of changes in this year that you've been here, and I'm very appreciative of you being here. I think the department is as well, and our community. But tell us a little bit about the goals that you see for the fire department and the things that you're working on.
Sure. So here I would say is our overall goal or mission. And certainly we have a mission statement. But our overall goal or mission is to provide the very best, most professional service that we possibly can to our residents. I believe that our residents expect and demand that when they pick up the phone and when they are in their moment of need, that we will be at our very best. And so that is our number one goal, that's our mission. How do we get there? And there's so many, I mean, fill in, there are so many areas where we're working right now. We are certainly looking at and have already started just revamping our training program, both on the career and volunteer side, to evaluate it. Where are we hitting the mark? Where are we missing the mark? And how can we get better and be a better trained department? We are evaluating our equipment. What equipment is obsolete? Where are we missing equipment? Where do we need to make improvements, not only for our everyday responses, but for those out-of-the-box responses that may only come once or twice a year. We are, not only through our operating budget, but certainly any grant opportunities we have, we're looking for every possible way to maximize financially the amount of equipment we can buy with the money that we have. Just recently, and it came to the council, we were awarded a $25,000 grant from the Leary Firefighters Foundation for battery-operated vehicle extrication equipment. We've never had that equipment. It is newer technology, came out probably 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. It is not an inexpensive piece of equipment. Through the grant funding and actually through one of our own firefighters, firefighter Rob Pappas on the career side, submitted the grant application and we were awarded $25,000. So we're evaluating our equipment. We're evaluating our turnout gear. We are evaluating every single part of the organization and really asking ourselves, where are we doing well? Where are we maybe missing the mark? And where can we get better? Where can we be more efficient?
Yeah, it's true. Big picture, even down to our day-to-day, hour-to-hour, how are we structuring our day? How can we be the most effective with our time? You know, what are we, whether it be having our members perform their physical training, you know, and when are we doing our classroom training? When are we getting out on the apparatus floor and training on the new equipment or the existing equipment or whatever it may be, you know, different cleaning that we have to do around the firehouse, maintenance of the building and equipment and other different things that we have there. So it's really top to bottom, bigger picture, out in the street, you know, responding to emergencies, and then also in the station, how we're actually structuring the day and kind of trying to revamp that to be just as effective as we can.
So as a resident, I've had the unfortunate pleasure of seeking the assistance of the fire department. And I have to say, when the tea room collapsed, they were there. I mean, it was just amazing to see how things fall into place and you take care of the residents of this city. The fire in the house, this fire that we just recently had at Hillcrest Park, the thinking out of the box to make sure that everybody was safe and going the extra mile to make sure that things were done. I was on the scene and I was able to see just how intense a scene like that is, but how calm and how smooth things run. And I want to say thank you to you and your department and to all of OEM and special services, everybody who was there that makes this work and to make sure that our city is safe. We can't say thank you enough. The things that are happening in the fire department, right down to the community service that you do, the Christmas angels. You don't just stop at fighting fires, you really take care of the community. And I think, folks, we need to know that and really appreciate what is done here. So thank you so very much for all of that. Is there anything you want to add about the department, either one of you?
Well, so I'll add a couple things, kind of relative to what you just said. As far as the most recent fire at Hillcrest Park, the collaboration from all of the city departments, and certainly Lieutenant Sheridan, I'll tell you, was the first arriving officer and really the first arriving fire department unit, the first person to make entry into the building that night. And really the responsibility fell on him initially to make sure that every one of the residents in that building was out. He did a fantastic job, him and his crew. But the collaboration between the fire department and OEM and the police department and the water department, at 2:05 in the morning, I was on the phone with Cornell Hammonds from our water department, and just in a 5-minute conversation, Cornell and I were able to just kind of hatch out a plan where we may be able to find additional water from one of our city hydrants. The building department, DPW, just the collaboration that is happening in the city between the departments has been fantastic. And I think a lot should be credited to you, your administration, and certainly our city manager for that. So I would say that's a big thing that I've noticed. The other thing I'll take this opportunity to plug, and we just did one for the first time the other night in Hillcrest Park. So we had a follow-up email from a resident who was home the night of the fire, who had seen what had happened, and she was concerned for her well-being related to her safety inside of her home. What we did is we sent a crew up there, and we have an evaluation sheet. It comes right off the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association website, and 2 of our members walked through her home with her with a little checklist, and we did what we call a residential home fire safety survey. And I received an email the next day, and she just, the satisfaction she had, I guess, in that we put her at ease, just walking through her home with her, telling her where she could make changes, either to be more efficient or more safe, or just to tell her, hey, everything looks pretty good and you have working smoke detectors and you don't have any combustibles around your hot water heater. So we're really excited about that program. And
I'm excited too. I'm like, wow.
and here's another thing with that, and a misnomer. We responded to an oven fire a couple months ago, and the resident at the end of the fire, very small, asked, now will you be sending me a bill? And I looked at him and I said, no, that's included in your taxes. That's why you pay city taxes. Right. So I guess, what's important is any of our residents that are going to watch this program to understand that when you pick up the phone and dial 911, there's no cost associated with that. We don't ask you, certainly dispatch will ask you your name and address and get that pertinent information, but we don't care too much about what you have to say other than what is your address and what is your emergency, and we're going to come no matter how big or small, and it's free of charge. It's included in your taxes.
Yeah, we so often we get people apologizing to us. I'm so sorry for calling you out. I thought I smelled something, or I thought I did this, or I thought, and they apologize profusely. And we just really want people to understand there's absolutely no reason to apologize. This is what we're here for. It's what we train for. It's what we love to do, and we love to serve this city. So there is never any reason whatsoever to apologize to us. We are here to do this. We are happy to do this. If you feel that there's an emergency, please don't hesitate to call. And that's another thing we have now with all the advancements we've had in technology and everything. When we get into an actual fire, a building fire, due to construction materials and the materials that furniture is made out of and other household items, you now have the least amount of time that you've ever had in history to escape a house fire safely. So immediate notification really is critical to success for our operation, for your home, for whatever it may be. The best thing that you can do really is make as fast a notification as possible. Don't second guess yourself. Don't overthink it. Notify us and let us come out and mitigate the situation for you.
I would say that, and I think that's what you're saying, is that it's better to be sure that nothing is wrong than to wait and have something catastrophic.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
So,
and, a
it's
lot
not
of
a
times
charge.
it's peace of mind with people too.
Yes.
We'll have, people think they smell gas or their carbon monoxide detector goes off, and it may end up being simply a bad detector or bad batteries or whatever it may be, but they have young children in the house. And at that time, to them, that's the biggest emergency in the world. And as someone with 3 young kids myself at home, I completely understand that. And we will never judge you for that. We will never be upset about that. We will come out and we will do everything we can to mitigate that situation for you and put your mind at ease.
Wonderful. So, Chief, I know that you set up a new website or email for people who may be interested in volunteering. So do you want to share that?
Sure. So just this week, through our IT director here in the city, we now have a new email, and it's membership@cityofpeekskill.com. And we're going to publicize that as well. But anybody who is even remotely interested, just wants to hear about volunteering or hear about the department, can email membership@cityofpeekskill.com. That email automatically goes to myself and my 2 volunteer assistant chiefs. That way, somebody gets back to you immediately, and we start the process. And we're always looking for dedicated volunteers to join our ranks. And certainly, when you don't hear, when you're interested and you don't hear back right away, you can become very easily disinterested.
Right.
So our goal is, when those emails come in, to get back to you as soon as possible. And if after what you hear from us, you're interested, we really want to get the ball rolling.
So, Chief and Lieutenant, I want to thank you for spending some time with me today. I hope folks at home really got a clearer understanding of what our fire department does. They're an important, integral part. I appreciate you mentioning the cohesiveness of the city departments coming together. That is the goal here of the city manager and the council, to make sure that we're all working together for the best of our residents. And I really think that we're doing that. And again, congratulations for all the successes that you're having, and thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.